about you. So tell us more about when you got into the university
Oh.
to study law, and why did you choose law as your course of study?
Thank you very much. Okay. You know, I told you in the very beginning that I started with carpentry. Okay. And somewhere along the line, I did my first WAEC, I failed. Second WAEC, I failed. Third, of course, to considering my background. And that is why in life, success is relative. It is not absolute. What is success to lemon may not be success to what? To melon. Because lemon and melon, they share the same name. Their names are very, they sound similar. But they have different ancestral background. If you call a melon today, what is your success? A melon will define its success according to its size. That if you are as big like I am, you are successful. But if you call a lemon, lemon will tell you that, look, I'm small but potent. Potency is the characteristic of lemon. So what I'm saying in essence is this: I decided to follow what God has asked me to do. I failed the first time, the second time, the third time. That pastor did not relent.
Wow.
That pastor, I must confess to you, I give it to God, and that man, I can't forget him. Pastor Eso Solomon Akinde is a pastor of Strong Tower Church in Ondo Town. He did everything. He said, Joel, I see something in you, and it will surely comfort. And when I did my final work, I went to Ilorin. I did my final work, I was able to make it. So, you see, the company you keep determines what accompanies you. And I want to thank Mami Titi Akinshiku. That woman saw me when I failed. She cried, she wept as the principal of the secondary school, Ondo Grammar School, the school I later went. So, and she said, Joel, when I wanted to do nothing in life, I failed. He said, I did it again. Look at me. He said, you too, you are going to be great. And that was how I started the journey. So I went to Kwara Poly. I started with Kwara Poly. I studied BSADME in Kwara Poly. And when I was in the class, the best of me was coming out of the hoving. I grew by osmosis, one step after the other. And when I was in the class in Kwara Poly, I happened to be the class rep. So I read BSADME between 1999 to 2000. So a woman came. That is why I said, look, I'm a hybrid. Muslims are resourceful to my life. Christians too. They have helped me a long way. A woman came from Mecca. She's Miss Sahad. She's just like you are. Very young, beautiful woman. And she came to class. She just looked at me when I talked. She said, look, you read BSADME? She said, look, you're supposed to be a lawyer. I looked at her. I was already reading BSADME, and I know how much it took me, how long it took me to back my wife. So, and when she was telling me, I said, hey, she told me, Mr. Salimand, she was teaching us business administration. Yeah, she said, you this guy, you will do well in life if you study law. Will I go back again and do literature and do whatever? But something told me that, look, you can become one. Then I went back again to write work.
Oh, wow.
While I was already in ND2, Kwara Poly, I wrote the exam. And when I wrote the exam in Kwara Poly Secondary School.
Wow.
So I wrote it in Kwara Poly Secondary School, and I made it. And
What year was that?
That was 1999/2000. I made it, and having made it, the principal of that school called me, Mrs. Aremu. She called me and prayed for me that since I've been the principal of this school, nobody has ever made this kind of result. That in fact, he said, God will add color to your life. He said, I didn't want to register you, but I've registered you. He said, but do you know the school you are supposed to go? I said, Mommy, I don't know. He said, which university do you want to go? He said, go to OAU. OAU? How will I go to OAU? I said, I don't know anybody. He said, look. She said, look, you will make it. Then I went to write JAMB again.
Wow.
So when I went to write JAMB again, I couldn't meet up with the cutoff point. Then I was admitted at University of Ado-Ekiti to study law. And I was taught by Professor Akin Oyibode, the professor of international law. He taught me law when I was in UNAD. And I was in the class one day, and one lecturer came to me and saw me in the class. She was teaching us, law. And she said, you this guy. He said, look, you're not supposed to be here. You're supposed to be in OAU.
Wow.
Somebody, the lecturer said, you're supposed to be in OAU. I said, OAU. He said, do you know the meaning of OAU? She said, I finished from UR. He said, but I want you to go to AU. He said, it's a big and whatever grant. I said, I went to write JAMB again.
Wow.
I'm sharing with you.
Interesting.
Failure is an event. It's not a person.
Definitely.
An event will come and go. And nobody is a failure until you begin to see yourself as one. Do you know I went to write JAMB?
Wow.
When I wrote the JAMB, then I proceeded to Obafemi Awolowo University. I met with one man. I didn't know God had prepared the admission officer for me. I just saw one man who was carrying the envelope. I just took the envelope the way we were taught. My daddy taught me when I was growing up that when you see an header, you give respect to the header, then you'll be great. Who gives respect to the headers will be great. Then I just took his envelope. I didn't know it was the admission officer. And he said, what do you want? I said, I just came here. The admission is ongoing or whatever. I said, what did you score? I said, this is what I scored. That was how I got admitted at Obafemi Awolowo University. I left UNAD. Yeah, I was going to part 2 to start all over. So I met with Baba. I was going to part 2. I met with Baba Adeoju, and luckily for me, you know, I told you, I said my chamber now is destiny chamber. So it has been one thing or the other. God has been directing my path. Do you know, I met with that pastor, and when that man told me, he said, where do you come from? I said, I came from Ondo. He said,
Where did
Ondo.
you meet the pastor?
I met him in OAU. I didn't even know it was the admission officer.
Oh, the
Man I collected his envelope. And somewhere along the line, they said, where do you? I said, I'm from Ondo. He kept quiet. He said, from who do you know in Ondo? I said, I know Mami Omadogbe. She said, which Omadogbe? I said, Mami She said, when I was in Ghana, it was that woman God used to rescue my life. He said, I said, she's my mother. And then she's not my mother. You know, but I knew that mommy because that mommy was part of those that would feed me. Are you getting me?
Yeah.
And she was a member of the church at the mission house. Are you getting? Then, at her instance, I got admitted.
Wow.
At her let me tell you the fact. All our children went to college of education. Majority of our children. He just saw me and a pastor did the background and another pastor